Ladies and gentlemen, Klaas Wiebel asked me to be co-referent of Christoph today. So I asked him, what would you like me to tell you? After this presentation, I think I could only give some oversights. Why the hell should we implement design thinking, whereas we are working in universities of applied sciences where people are prepared to go into industry and to find out innovative products or services? Well, in the first place, I don't think so. This is what I wanted to show. No, this is a wrong one. Okay. This is... Let me go back. This is neither two. Is this the good one? Neither. Oh, probably I lost it. So I have to go to Open Recent and take this one. Yeah, here we are. In fact, I'm a pedagogic scientist, and in addition to that, I have been working at Delft also as a technologist. If we look at what the theories in pedagogy tell us, we can best look at this picture of Knut Ilrus, a Danish colleague, who said, in fact, all theories on education are based on three fundamentals only. The first one is incentive, which is something like motivation. The second one is interaction, and the third one is content. And all this is encapsulated in society, and in fact, anything we want to do in future education is up to these three fundamentals that we have to reconfigure or reinvent. So let's see what is happening in our society. In fact, we're at a crossroads. We come from an industry society where everything has been organized hierarchically. And we are now moving to something more horizontal, decentral, and bottom-up. We are rethinking our representative democracy, for example. We are thinking of adhocracies, a totally new concept, because young people do not consider it appropriate to vote a political party once in 4 years' time. They want to be involved or step out. Ownership has become less important. Access has. So if Volkswagen wants to buy cars in people living in big cities, also the younger ones, they had better think of cars that are owned by communities. As you know, in Amsterdam there is a service, an online service, when you can find a car at any moment, and you can do it on your iPhone. And one of my students living in Amsterdam, he has a car, and he is dividing it into, I don't know how many users, but at some time in one of our meetings he said, oh, I have to look up my car. And he typed on his iPhone, because he is sharing his car on this service. We know that connected people are more powerful than organizations. We know that from Arabian Spring events. And we also know that cities are more important than countries. So shift happens in our society at a wide array of instances. We are moving from the three traditional P's, profit, people, planet, to the new P's, but in a different order. People, planet, profit. Christoph said, human-centered education is crucial. Well, our whole society puts people more and more in the center of its thinking. So I think it coincides. Oh, this one is in Dutch. Anyone need some translation? Well, this is a very well-known comparison between 20th century education and 21st century education, and you see that, in fact, the notions of ownership and personalized and gamified learning, they are all a product of what is happening in society. Instead of thinking as a teacher what students should learn, we are now shifting to thinking that teachers must create conditions for meaningful research to create new things. That's a quite different role for teachers. When I started teaching at a secondary school, my first concern was, what should my students learn? And mostly by heart. And mostly alone. Because the tests I provided were individual tests. And they had to perform at a specific moment in time. That's kind of thinking what teaching is so very old-fashioned. And still it happened in a majority of our secondary schools. Our 21st century skills are now promoted as if they were new. Do you know who invented them? Plato. Plato. Quite a time again, back. But still they are now reinvented or retaken as something new. But in fact, they've always been there. But we have lost them because our schools have become like industries. So how will our learning in future look like? Well, look at the Khan Academy, look at Udemy, look at Coursera, or look at the Code Academy, or look at the HEMA Academy. Or look at Boundlets, where now I'm talking about content. The way we deliver education is going to change dramatically. As dramatically as TV broadcasting. They know in Hilversum that the future will look different. Broadcasters are out. Only 50% of our youngsters are still watching linear TV. The others just watch TV when they want, the thing they want, the time they want, the place they want, and the device they want. If I'm a student in a University of Applied Sciences, I go to Boundless, and I found exactly the content I need. For a tenth of the price of going to a bookshop and buy the book that my teacher has prescribed. So content is everywhere. It's distributed. It's somewhere in a network. And that poses a lot of problems for certification. So the answer would be that our education is going to be personalized and gamified. And why that? Why are we going to personalize and gamify it? Well, We already do it. In primary education, kids learn math by this Math Garden website. They even learn how to write Dutch on an iPad or another tablet. It's personalized in the sense that whatever the kids is doing here, he can create a nice garden, even if he's making a lot of mistakes. The system recognizes it and makes the assignments easier, so that the kid will get self-confidence to go on and even go further than it might imagine by itself. Math for secondary education. Provided by Timo Meulhof, one of the publishers, one of the 3 publishers in my country understood that education is going to change. It's the personalized way to learn math for secondary education, already available and in development together with secondary schools. And this is a game for students in higher education, for universities of applied sciences. It's for first year novices, and it's to help them to start studying before Christmas. That helps a lot of teachers, because most of them start making a lot of fun in the first 3 months, and then after Christmas the first exams start, and oh gee, we didn't do the necessary preparations. But even at Nokia, who is providing a GPS system, and who wants their employees to make that GPS much more than just finding the right road to the right place, they had to train and to change the attitude of these employees. And they created a game. So gamification is not only applicable for education, it's also applicable for companies, where people have to change their attitudes or their minds. You know, kids, from the age of very early, the first window on the world is the iPad of their mom or their dad. And they start playing games all the time very easily. Do I have sound? Something is, okay, it's very weak, that sound. But you see, in the it's okay, the sound, so I can speak at the same time. This is a game that was developed for the kids in the age of 8 to 12. Nowadays, when it's on the market, kids in the age of 4 are playing that game until the end. They invent, they puzzle around in an Escher-like perspective environment, and they find solutions. So they are accustomed from a very early age on to find solutions to problems, to be active, to do things instead of sitting back and watching a screen. You know, by all those games they are playing, they are doing 3 things we hardly do in education. As a student, you choose your strategy. As a student, you make decisions. Here in SimCity, for example, very old game. And supplementary to that, you produce something. Hey, design thinking. You produce a solution to a really real-life problem. Kids at an early age start design thinking. Once they come at school, we tell them to forget all about it. That's a different world. That's the world of playing, and that's you're doing at home. They're accustomed to share. at the age of 4, no, 7. When they start reading a little bit, they go to Scratch. And they start a project. A project, is there a teacher telling them what to start and how to start? No. They do it by themselves. They can choose any strategy they want. They can start programming. They can start designing. They can start painting. They can start writing. Whatever they want. More than 8 million projects of kids collaborating worldwide do those projects. Adults do also. So it's not new. Our new generations are not a totally out of the blue coming generation. No, we have always been sharing information. But we do it differently now. The main learning activity in reading a book, and I'm a book reader, is interpreting. And the main learning activity in the game is configuring. That's quite different. If you are growing up in this paradigm, you don't understand books. And if you have been growing up in this paradigm, you don't understand games. But our brains are wired differently. There's a guy from Delft. University is preparing an exam, that's very clear to you. And he's using iconic skills, and he's collaborating, he has headset on, and he's multitasking. That's the way our students learn today. But they do it using different skills as I did. And some of them do it in bed. They prepare exams in bed. I presume your students do as well. On their tablets or iPhones. They learn differently, they have a nonlinear learning approach, but because if you are growing up in the digital age, which they do, they start typing in keywords. And they got results that are never linear. Whereas if you start reading a book, you are forced to think linearly. So we should get rid of. No, we shouldn't get rid of books because books have a value in their own. That it creates a dialogue with yourself. That's very useful. Creating a dialogue with yourself. That's what we do rarely in our Western society. Oh. The kids' world looks different. And they learn us how we should teach. Who knows PewDiePie? Who knows PewDiePie? Nobody knows PewDiePie? Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's a gamer, a Swedish gamer, and he is every time on a clip on YouTube talking about games he's actually doing. He's not a very good gamer, but he is doing a lot of fun around it. He has, on an average, 30 million views. Do you know how much that pays on YouTube? $14 million a year. He's 25. Ask your students if they know PewDiePie. You know Twitch TV? Twitch TV? Yeah? It's a site where you can watch championships on gaming. World championships. Teams of 5 kids are playing against other teams of 5 kids. And the stake is about $2 million to get world champion in the League of Legends or World of Warcraft or Storms of Heroes. Who knows South Park? Okay, we could leave that. Okay. Uh, this is the new paradigm for students. Instead of learning management systems, you'd better get rid of those things and give them just the freedom to find and use their own tools, social networks, contents, and design their own learning environment, which already I experimented in one of our secondary schools in my country, and kids of 12 were able to do this and enjoyed it very much. Our second or our 21st century education should be based on these kinds of things. And that helps if we give ownership to students in their learning process and finally to get together in different disciplines, as Chris Torf already explained very well. But I think these are the basics. And the first one is trust. You know where I learned that I should trust students? When I started an online school where I never met my students. And those were kids in the age of 15 to 20 who were thrown out of secondary vocational education 2 or 3 times. And it provided them with computers and a digital camera and a printer. I connected them to the net. And I just had one question: what would you like to learn? So the first 3 months, nobody wanted to learn anything. And we had a 1-year program. But then everyone took a own learning path. 86% of these students succeeded in getting a job with our help or a next educational program. 86%. All dropouts. So in companies where we start to be an employee, a company should realize that there's a number of individuals that should be empowered in their own professional development, and we should prepare them to take that role in a company instead of waiting and say, okay, boss, you tell me what I have to do. Everybody should profile themselves in that company. But in the meantime, they're also part of communities where they step in and they step out, that are fluid, 24/7, and where peers are your reference instead of books. Of course, the company has its own goals, sustainability, innovation, the usual suspects, of course. But most companies have them and should be at the basis of what should be learned or developed. And content is the least important. It is distributed anywhere, and it's collective, and it is shared. And on the basis of this model, in fact, we created a learning approach for the steel factories and IBM in the Netherlands, where learning becomes informal, situated, self-directed, quite different from how students are being taught today in schools. So in order to prepare them, we should better think of other approaches than what we have been doing until now. Klaas Wiebel asked me to talk only 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15.
How much did I?
4 minutes? More?
Okay, great.
Max.
Oh yeah, max. In Delft, I was responsible for an innovation program in teaching and learning. And ever since I left Delft, Delft created an extension school. An extension school where we tried to develop MOOCs. massive open online courses. 8-week courses on specific themes that we provide free to the world. Only if you want a certificate, only if you want to have some support from TU Delft staff, you have to pay a fee. But if you don't, we don't care. You can get all the content for free because we develop that content on public money. And we wouldn't like to make money out of public money. We couldn't neither, because the ministry wouldn't allow us to do so. If not, who knows what we should do. Yeah, probably. So if you want to know what we are doing here, go to the blog of one of my former students. He's called Willem van Valkenburg. And he's driving the extension school. We invest in that school on a yearly basis 5 million euros currently. And we expect to do that for the next years also. So we created a whole staff, and we are now providing all kind of MOOCs. And you know what? We discover that we provide education to the huge amount of people that we never see from different backgrounds and who are either students or lifelong learners. And most of them are lifelong learners. Half of them come from the US, and the other one from India, the other half. Well, in between there are some Asians and or Far East Asian and some Europeans as well. But most of them are Americans and Indians. And we are looking for the business model, of course, but we do also research on the quality of a MOOC. Because, you know, about 90% is dropping out during the course, and so MOOCs has a very bad reputation currently because everybody thinks they are not worthwhile. On the contrary, we have done research among the dropouts. And they are highly motivated people. They're just looking for some piece of education just for them, just enough, and just for them. Okay, that's another approach. Because education based on a curriculum is old-fashioned thinking. It's more about providing that content and that interaction, because they organize themselves in groups. And Christoph told me that they developed a very nice piece of software where you can immediately find some colleagues in the vicinity where you're living and meet up with them if you want. So we are doing this kind of things, and in fact, we are also doing a lot of design thinking here without defining exactly it as a specific strategy, because Delft is a technical university and we do a lot of design thinking in our design engineering processes of industrial designing.
For the last 170 years, the Technical University of Delft's record of research, innovation, and teaching has established it as one of the world's foremost universities, especially in the fields of science, design, and engineering. TU Delft's focus is on making a difference in the world today.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Our world-class academic staff deploy our outstanding facilities to invent and develop new technologies.
Now, with TU Delft Online Learning, this is open to all. Gain access to the highest caliber faculty, engage with innovative learning materials, and enjoy being part of a stimulating and supportive online community of learning. Hundreds of thousands of students from all around the world have already profited from our online courses, with benefits for themselves, their organizations, and their communities. Whether you're looking to change career, enhance your knowledge and skills base, or seek further academic qualifications, the right course is here.
TU Delft Online Learning means active learning. You will use state-of-the-art learning techniques with simulations, interactive exercises, online experiments, and collaborative group projects. Advanced theory and research combine with excellent partnerships in the industrial and business communities to ensure that what you learn can be applied in the real world. Course content is challenging and demanding, promoting your personal growth and professional development. At TU Delft, there's a truly international learning environment where you can collaborate, share knowledge, and network with learners around the world. Join the TU Delft community. Start learning online today.
You know, the effect of these MOOCs internally are huge, because teachers who are participating in such a MOOC, they apply the same procedures to the regular students as well. It's an innovation of our teaching practice. So by starting to seduce teachers to participate in MOOCs, we have started innovation of our own teaching at the campus as well. Because nobody wants to look like a dummy online. Thank you so much.